Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Lane Kiffin, the Ole Miss Rebels continue to do very good work in the transfer portal, landing the commitment from running back Henry Parrish, coming back to Ole Miss from the Miami Hurricanes. And this one seemingly was in the work for a while. It becomes official on Monday afternoon. And Henry Parrish is a really solid running back at the college football level, both at Ole Miss and with the Miami Hurricanes. You go back to what he did in 2023 with the Miami Hurricanes. 6.3 yards per carry, 3.4 yards after contact per carry. And I think my favorite trait of Henry Parrish, he's a chunk play machine. This is a guy that only had 100 carries with the Miami Hurricanes in that 2023 year. 24 of those carries went for 10 plus yards. And you look at how Lane Kiffin wants this Ole Miss offense to operate. It's chunk plays. It's getting that first down, and then we're going to go tempo. We're going to put the defense on its heels. Henry Parrish is that kind of running back to get Ole Miss's drive started, hit those chunk plays. I like this fit. Obviously, Lane Kiffin and this Ole Miss staff know Henry Parrish quite well. It made a lot of sense for both parties. Excited to get into this one. Before we do, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. A massive shout out to the Ole Miss fans. Y'all know I have a blast talking this Ole Miss program, especially in the transfer portal. You guys continue to show a ton of love, a ton of support to the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Henry Parrish. And I don't want to go too long on Henry Parrish because I know a lot of Ole Miss fans are very familiar with Henry Parrish. I more want to dig into what this Ole Miss running back room is going to look like in 2024. But talking about Henry Parrish, I think you get a really well-rounded running back. And although he's not necessarily the biggest running back at only 190 pounds, 3.4 yards after contact per carry, and kind of shows you that Henry Parrish, although is more of a spacey running back that can certainly get it done out of the backfield as a pass catcher, Henry Parrish can run behind those pads. He can be physical as a running back as well. And when you kind of go to the check box, the checklist in terms of what you're looking for in running backs, Henry Parrish doesn't leave a lot of boxes unchecked. He can run between the tackles. He can catch out of the backfield. He can operate in space, normally makes that first defender miss. I think Henry Parrish, an extremely solid running back. And I think you get into the conversation of how does this Ole Miss running back room shake out heading into 2024? You have Ulysses Bentley, who a guy that I think a healthy Ulysses Bentley in 2024, I personally think will be Ole Miss's leading rusher. I think he is extremely underrated at that running back position and kind of just got overshadowed by Judkins last year. You have a guy in Logan Diggs who's kind of working back from an injury. You're not really sure how healthy he's going to be. You have Riscano, who I think a lot of Ole Miss fans are extremely excited about heading into 2024. Now you add Ja'Cory Merritt from New Mexico we talked about last week, and now Henry Parrish. And I think you fast forward a couple of weeks ago, we're looking at this Ole Miss running back room and saying that is a little bit of a question mark. You fast forward to Monday afternoon today and say, Ole Miss has an extremely deep running back room, and that's extremely important for this Ole Miss offense. It's no secret Ole Miss runs at some of the fastest pace in the country, a lot of carries. This team runs the football a lot more than a lot of college football fans realize. When you're running with that much pace and you're running the football as much as Ole Miss does, you want to have a deep running back room. You want to keep these guys fresh, not only through 4 quarters of a game, but 15, 16 games of a season. We kind of go back to this Ole Miss's goals. It's not just winning 8-9 games. It is competing for an SEC title, making a run in the college football playoffs. You make no mistake about that. And if you want to win games in the months of November and December, you got to be deep in that running back room. I think it gets a lot deeper. I think the question is, does Ole Miss add one more running back to this room heading into 2024? And the guy that I want to talk about is kind of the missing piece in my mind for Ole Miss, and that is Trent Howland, who there's 2 guys I think Ole Miss might be going after. Penny Boone from Toledo we talked about last week. Trent Howland we touched on a little bit as well. You look at this Ole Miss running back room, and it's got a lot of speed, right? Ulysses Bentley, Henry Parrish, those guys are spacey backs. They like to operate in space. If you could say that Ole Miss is maybe missing a kind of running back in that running back room, it's probably the bruiser. It's the short yardage running back that can work through contact. Trent Howland at 6'3", 240 pounds would kind of provide that kind of running back that Lane Kiffin in this Ole Miss program might be looking for. Now, I think the question is, do you want to go into the year with 5-6 scholarship running backs on your roster? And I look at this Ole Miss team and say, I'm okay with that because, again, going back to that conversation, Ole Miss wants to run fast. They want to play with tempo. These running backs are going to get a lot of work. You want to make sure that you're deep at that position. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss goes after Trent Howland as well, who I believe is on campus today. We'll continue to keep you guys updated on that one. Henry Parrish, I think, again, it's nice to see him back home at Ole Miss. I think he's a very good fit in terms of what Lane Kiffin wants to do. Again, a chunk play machine, explosive play machine. That's a really good sign for Ole Miss. Fired up about this one, wanted to hop on, talk a little bit about how this running back room is shaking out. But at the end of the day, Ole Miss, they certainly addressed the depth question marks that you have in that Ole Miss running back room. We'll cut it there. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.